guys, welcome back. Today we're taking a look at the history of the Arbiters faction, the Swords of Sanghelios. If you enjoy the video, don't forget to leave a like down below and also a comment telling me your favourite elite. So, let's begin. The Swords were formed long before the Halo event and also the Great Journey. The first members were a sworn brotherhood of Kaidans, which are essentially government positions held by the head of a Sangheli state. These brothers were dedicated to overthrowing a tyrannical arbiter who ruled the continent of Kivro on Sanghelios. It's unknown when this occurred, but it's estimated that it happened a few centuries before the Sangheli became a spacefaring race. The final incarnation of the organisation prior to the modern version ironically appeared in the messy aftermath of the Covenant's formation. They were ordered to bring the last species who opposed the Writ of Union, which is the founding document of an oath of service to the Covenant, to heel. Skipping forward a couple thousand years, and the Covenant are beginning to fall apart. The Prophet of Regret just jumped to Earth against the High Prophet of Truth's intention, not knowing it was humanity's homeworld, and was subsequently assassinated by Chief on Installation 05. The changing of the guard has begun on High Charity, with the elites getting shafted at pretty much every turn, losing their positions of honour as protectors of the prophets and being replaced by the dirty, honourless brutes. Control of Covenant fleets was also being transferred to the brutes, and the Sangheli were even threatening to resign from the Covenant's High Council, which is the central decision-making body within the government of the Covenant. Hey, that rhymes. Eventually, the prophets ordered the brutes to genocide the elites so they could be replaced in society, and the elites retaliated, sparking the War on High Charity and the beginning of the Great Schism, which would signal the death knell of the Covenant. With the Great Schism came the early stages of formation of the new Swords of Sanghelios. Spearheaded by Thel 'Vadam and Artas 'Vadum, the elites, now no longer a member of the Covenant, needed a unified faction. Although not technically the Swords of Sanghelios just yet, Thel and Artas' forces joined up, along with an old enemy, humanity, to end the Covenant once and for all. The two species laid down their differences and struck right at the heart of the Covenant's plans, killing Tartarus, the brute chieftain, preventing him from activating Installation 05, and subsequently chasing the Prophet of Truth to the Ark, where he was dangerously close to activating the entire Halo array before being assassinated by Thel, in what is one of the most monumental events in Halo history. When the original Covenant were finally defeated, the Sangheli split off into a load of different factions, and Thel formally established the Swords of Sanghelios, with his followers primarily containing the keeps on Sanghelios that aligned with him. One of the main goals of this faction was to keep peace with humanity, considering their short, yet pretty damn significant history together. Back on Sanghelios, a rising faction of religious fanatics who saw the Swords as blasphemers began an insurrection against them. This faction was called the Servants of Abiding Truth, led by Avumed Telkam, and was secretly supported by Oni in a bet to weaken the Sangheli in order to eliminate any chance of them suddenly turning on humanity. The Servants gained a significantly large following, reason being, many Sangheli really didn't like Thel's willingness to ally with humanity. At the same time, the Swords were also still fighting in the Great Schism against the Brutes, and Thel was travelling between Sangheli states in order to make a case for allying with humanity. Thel's push for unity did not receive universal approval, however, and by 2553, the Sangheli factions on the planet had extremely varying views, especially with those who still held devout faith in the Foreigners. Then came the Blooding Years, a series of still ongoing civil wars and conflicts on Sanghelios between the various Sangheli factions in disagreement, with the most significant arguably being the Servants of Abiding Truth. Avumed Telkam led the Servants in an attack against the Swords in the state of Vadam, during which his frigate crash-landed. It began to look like a pretty strong victory for the Swords of Sanghelios, until word spread of the Arbiter allowing humans to land on Sanghelios, which caused a lot of Sangheli keeps to side with the Servants, which turned their battle significantly in their favour. During the conflict, Thel was caught off guard, having to reluctantly accept Lord Hood's offer for help, and when the UNSC Infinity arrived in support, the Servants of Abiding Truth were finally defeated. The Infinity obliterated the Servants' destroyer, Defender of Faith, and finished off any ground units with a single Mac round. However, in keeping with their extremely slimy ways, the The UNSC Port Stanley, a ship that was posing as a Jackal pirate ship, destroyed a few of the Arbiter's ships, which ensured that they didn't finish the conflict without at least significant weakening losses. After the battle, Telkam retreated to New Lanelli until he could convince more keeps to join his cause. The servants are still out there in the galaxy, but sadly Avu Med Telkam met an untimely end at the hands of a Spartan, Spartan G-059. All while this was going on, and also following its conclusion, the Swords were still warring with the remaining Prophets and Brutes. Initially at a disadvantage, the Swords got the upper hand when the Prophets just disappeared, and the Brutes began to fall apart, losing all societal and military structure, causing their intelligence as a species to massively regress. In addition to hunting down the Brutes, the Swords were also engaged in conflicts with the late Julum Dharma's Covenant, with one of the most noteworthy events from these conflicts being the significant damage caused to the Swords' flagship, the Shadow of Intent, in 2554, that left the ship combat ineffective for quite some time. Skipping forward 4 years to March of 2558, and the Arbiter represented the Swords in an official peace talk with humanity and a Brute chieftain named Lydus, who aimed to create peace between at least his clan of Brutes and the other species. Unfortunately, these talks ended pretty badly, with Covenant mercenaries attacking the group, cutting any hopes of progress towards peace short. Lydus fled the scene and hasn't been heard of since, so peace with the Brutes, or at least a small fraction of them, is still possible. But we haven't heard a word from him since, so don't expect anything anytime soon. Thel also departed the scene unharmed and made his way back to Sanghelios. Later that year, following the death of Julum Dharma, what remained of Umdharma's faction attacked the Swords of Sanghelios in a last-ditch effort to kill the heretic Arbiter. Phaetim Osiris assisted the Swords' elites in the continent of Kivro. They fought along the coast of Nusra and helped the elites corner Jul's Covenant to their last stronghold, the Westward Temple of the Sea, Sunion. With humanity's help, the Arbiter and his forces finally put an end to Julum Dharma's Covenant faction at Sunion, claiming it as the defeat of the Covenant. However, there are still Covenant remnants out there, many of which we don't know the name of, but there are 2 significant ones, the Servants of Abiding Truth and also Selenion's faction. Given the death of Avu Med Telkam, the Servants are now very likely led by Julum Dharma's son, Jurul Dharma, who may wish to continue his father's legacy. Selenion's faction was formed by, well, Selenion, after leaving Umdharma's faction following his death. Interestingly, Neon's faction could impact the Swords pretty heavily in the future, considering there are quite a number of Sangheli within the Swords who view him as a true leader in comparison to Thel and Jul, and maybe even the next best chance for the Covenant to reunite in its former glory. So that's going to do it for today, guys. I really hope you enjoyed this very topical video. It was a really highly requested one, and quite honestly one that I'd planned on doing for a while now, so I hope that it lived up to expectations. If you enjoyed, don't forget to leave a like and also subscribe if you're new here, and be sure to join me next time when I discuss the theory that I had for Chief's death, and I promise that it will be the next video. Oh yeah, and also, I'm currently working on a very highly requested series. No ETA on when it's going to be released exactly, but let's just say that a very large number of you guys are going to be pretty excited about it. Thanks a lot for watching, guys, and I'll catch you next time.